Blow, thou winter wind, thou art not so unkind as man's ingratitude to man. Now that kind of explains why I'm with this garb, but it doesn't tell you the rest of the story. I've been privileged over the months that I've been doing the Wednesday reading to have an audience of crochetaholics who actually spend a lot of time making gifts and all sorts of things. And today I was totally surprised because I was given, and you'll never guess the color purple, a beautiful purple lap robe, which will come in handy when the winter winds chill. And when I go outside, I was given a dramatic scarf and a hat like you wouldn't believe. So even my ears are going to be warm this winter, thanks to my audience, and I'm deeply appreciative. But there's somebody lurking behind me. That is Nola. And I told you that we were going to be doing something with Nola's poetry again, and not for an insubstantial reason, because, Nola, what award did you just get?
I'm your poet laureate of Fernandina. Yay!
That's right.
I'm one of the five of us of the Paris Poetry Group. One of them is now also the poetry laureate of her city. So now I get to tell her she's not having the glory all alone. I'm right. Sharing the glory.
The limelight is there for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really was kind of interesting. How did the Poet Laureate Award actually happen?
I have no idea. It was going on, it was in progress for quite some time, but it was kept totally.
I can keep a secret. I knew about it and I didn't say a word, did I?
Nor did anybody else.
Okay.
I was the only one who didn't know. And a friend was doing an article for the Islander magazine here in Fernandina, and why I didn't know at this particular time, but I just thought, oh, well, you know, lovely. And so she said, I want you to meet me over at your son's house out by his pool. Covered pool is really pretty, and I want all your family there because I want pictures of all the family in this article. And I thought, oh, well, I thought that was kind of odd, but I thought, okay, whatever, you know, I can do that. Meeting in my son's house is a beautiful a place, indoor swimming pool, covered, and you enter it off the living room through glass doors. I mean, it's really beautiful. So I pulled up in the car with this person and my son Michael, and my granddaughter came rushing out, and she said, because there were all these cars parked out there, and she said, oh no, they're just people doing some work in the house. I said, oh, okay. And she said, I'm so proud of you. And that's all she said, and then she left. Then we went into the house, we entered into the pool area, and all these people were gathered out there that were dressed not looking like anybody that was working in the house. You know, they were dressed very nicely. And I thought, bizarre, odd. But we went on out, and then I was told, okay, you take your place over there, Nola, by the pool. And so I did. And then this lovely young man comes up to me and he says,
our mayor.
He says, I'm the mayor of Fernandina. And I went, you know, I'm so surprised. I went, what is he here? And then he proceeds to read that proclamation that makes me the poet laureate of Fernandina. And everybody in the room knew this was going to happen except me. I was totally floored and taken by surprise, had no idea. And it was just a very well kept secret.
See, we have some sense of control. Not a lot, but a little.
So anyway, I was totally floored. I beyond expectation, and maybe because I'll be 90 in January on Epiphany Day, and the mayor said, "I will call you on your birthday," and I said, "Okay, very nice." So,
And might I add, this is the first poet laureate of Fernandina. So that is special on
I
many levels.
initiated this, right? Hey,
You did. You're special, but
I
you
think
knew
I
that.
said, well, in your eyes.
Yes, in my eyes, most assuredly.
So,
Well, why don't you read us a poem of your choice?
well,
And we're going to, Nola has written, to my count, 6 or 7 last books ever. Oh, and guess what? In addition to the last book that was the last book, no. After the pandemic, there's going to be another last book, and it's actually 3/4 written. So I'm planning on being around for the next last chapter.
well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Pick a poem.
Well, I decided I would read some Fernandina poems, being the poet laureate. I have a lot of poems written about Fernandina, and I thought I would share some of those. And the first one is.
And Nola, before you start,
Yeah.
Take a look. You go look, and I'll show off your books. Donna and Mark have some of these books downstairs. New and selected poems. Nola Perez, they're in the poetry section. The most recent last book ever, which isn't quite, because there's another one coming. Nothing Left Unsaid. And this one I actually did a special program on. And you know how I am about the visuals. I love that staircase with the mysterious figure going up it. And then on the cover, hidden behind a door, is the spectral woman climbing the stairs. Obviously, she's reached her destination, and there's nothing left unsaid. And one of my favorite titles of all, Poems for People Who Don't Like Poetry.
And there are many.
But I think she's converted even those few. And in the season of tropical depression,
The Miami poems.
those are Miami poems.
Key West.
And there are all of these books and more, plus some journals. Now, Noah, would you read one of the Fernandina poems
I
for
will,
us?
and guess what? It's called Fernandina. And it's one of the first poems I wrote about the island. Okay, Fernandina. Across the drawbridge, island side, the marsh, the mill, still stain the air before the sea purifies and freshens, washing away all time, all attitudes, deposits you like driftwood and shell on the wet sand you belong to. The wild hammock still snakes along the road. The blinding white dunes I tumbled down as a child rise before me, as real as my dreams, as real as yesterday, as real as smoke. The sea still roars at one end of Center Street. The river laps at the other. These are like watery lovers yearning to drown. But all things alter, like the cobblestone street I drove my pony cart over that 4th of July, streamers flying, firecrackers popping. Bicycles no longer freely wind through the road to the old fort, though I hear shouts of children exploring corridors and claiming parapets their own, unaware of the battles I fought there, damp sunrises I saw there. The convent garden is quiet. I can't find the tree I hid my face in. There are so many trees, moss hung. At 5, I forgot to mark it. Small flames still dance for the plaster Mary. She took my Protestant flowers, never cried, imposter. Regarding me as kindly now as she did. Cues of solemn children on the first day of May. and the dying sun through colored glass still claims my question. The department store on Center Street, its bolts of cloth and watchful clerks, its ramp up into ladies' wear, the mirrored room where I stuffed my teenage pudge into dreams of whistles and winks, the beauty parlor over a store, a flight of dark stairs up where I, hooked up to the perm machine, waited to become beautiful, my hair smelling like chemicals for a week. Now down those stairs on a Sunday morning, I take my lunch in a strange restaurant. No one knows my name, and all things are altered. But at that time, I had been away from home a long time, and I wrote this poem, and nobody really that recognized me as a native, you know, who was born here, grew up here, loved it, became the person I am here. So, okay.
And who is it who sits on your shoulder and guides you where you need to go? Your muse.
The muse.
Yes.
Sometimes she's quiet, sometimes she's noisy, sometimes she's relentless, but I rely on her to send the words, you know. I don't have any problem with the muse.
I'm going to sneak a short one in. Go look for another poem to share with us. And while you look, I'm going to read one of my favorite short ones.
All right.
This one
Cool.
is from that book I was telling you about, Poems for People Who Don't Like Poetry. Losing the Blues. Little Creek was so morose until rustic bridge made it grandiose. And she even found a photograph of a bridge in the process of becoming grandiose. I love that one.
Thank you for that. And thanks for reading it so well. And thanks for loving it.
I do.
Oh, it's not Labor Day anymore, but this is a poem called Labor Day, Fernandina. There among the signaling sea oats, a high place atop a dune from which the sea turns cobalt. Words on the brink of a poem toss among whitecaps, mount the flapping seagulls, try to take wing. Unwary walkers quicken their summer crawl in a blustery breeze, and already the sea rails cough, threads back its serpent spit. Remembering now halcyon days on this island foam, how we slid in it and kicked on our stomachs. What did we know of refuse? Carried by a pipeline a mile into the sea, returning to us foamy mischief. The paper mills ran their commerce, a steady heartbeat under everything. Day and night, the hum of machinery, the glitter of lights, star-like at evening, glistening bodies of graveyard workers in the wet end, laborers in the stacks, running the color of choice, heading home telltale at dawn with clothing red, green, or blue. Now the smell of the mills mingles with salt and the perfume of seaweed drying in the sun. Sand shifts in stinging sheets across the beach. Our past is like the early morning hoofprints of horses blown over with sand. We are graffiti on the empty shell of a sea turtle. The beach, rinsed of summer, emulates the sea traveler. It's cleansing. It's endless and necessary cleansing.
And while you find another poem to read, I'm just kind of like the accent here. This is the main dish. I love this one. With thanks to Tennessee.
Oh.
Thinking of all the Blanches in my life, doomed Southern daughters who nudged us to nirvana, discovering reggae and French restaurants, Lenny Tristano and tea dances. Fat Daddy, you've been gone too long, and other delights. Oh, Tennessee, you lived the good life of angst and alienation. But you had Key West and New York City. Not too bad for a homeboy. Love that one.
Well, I have to tell you a brief story about Tennessee Williams, whom I have adored forever. His poems, his plays, anything and everything, the way he conducted his life. I just loved him, one of my heroes. And one of my sons, Michael, and I were when we was in Atlanta, we were going to a film, Tennessee Williams South. And we walked in and we were seated halfway down the theater, darkened theater, when these two men were walking up behind us. And I heard that voice and I knew who it was. It was Tennessee Williams, because I heard him reading so many times on records. And so we waited, and then guess what? They took seats right behind us. So I told my son, Michael, I handed him a paper and a pen. I said, give it to Tennessee for me. And he turned to Tennessee Williams and he said, Mr. Williams, my mother has loved you since she was a girl. And handed him the paper and he started to sign his name. And then there was a rustle among all the people because they saw it was Tennessee Williams and he was signing autographs. And Mr. Williams said to me, I said, no, I really started something, didn't I? And he said, yes, you did. So I got to meet my hero.
Strange things happen in wonderful places.
They do, they do.
What have you chosen to read for us next?
Let's see here. What's a good? Growing up in Fernandina in that period, we had the beach, we had the river, we had the movie theater. That was it. We made our own fun because we were over the drawbridge. Nothing existed for us. We had to make everything happen. So we spent a lot of time at the Ritz movie house, which was on Center Street across from the Methodist Church. And many times I went to that movie house. So this is called Hollywood in My Hometown. Hollywood in my hometown showed me in black and white and living color Sabu and Gunga Din, the last days of Pompeii, Cobras hissing and Maria Montez, Saturday cereals, pompadours, shoulder pads, and spike heels, Eleanor Powell's tapping feet, The Keeper of the Bees, Jane Eyre, The Lion, Lucite letters, in Columbia's Torchy Lady. I suffered with the dead-end kids, endured wartime newsreels and Cagney in the electric chair. I fled to the water fountain while the mummy dragged, shivering at the concession as Spencer became Hyde. Deposited at 2, staggering out at dusk, popcorn bloated, candy coated. Hollywood was my hometown.
And that's a good hometown, Nola.
Yeah.
Another very brief one, but one I particularly love because poetry in just a few lines can remind us of a symbol and tell us a very complex story in just the fewest of words with the simplest of images. Listen to this. She taught me well. A zinnia for Lucille. Orange as believable sunsets. A single zinnia stands in the tiger lilies, the way dead people are always among the living. And is it not thus?
It is this. I've got one more about
Okay.
the movies that goes, it's almost a companion piece to Hollywood in my hometown. It's called Joan Said. When she was the face on the theater billboard, I wanted to look like I was just a slip of a girl. Her world was the big screen. My world was insular. An island encased us, was the perimeter beyond which no reality other than our own existed. The Faraway War was a story related in V-mail, film noir, and black and white newsreels. Good girls in my town didn't go with servicemen. They served coffee at canteens and wore out shoes in car tires, made cakes with rationed sugar, took collections at the movie house on Saturday matinees when Joan said, "Won't you please give?" And little Shirley, as sweet as cotton candy in her short pleated skirt, saluted the flag with a dimpled smile. We gave it all to help the cause, drew seams up the back of bare legs, kept them tight together till Johnny came marching home again. Semper Fidelis, and cross my heart, I won't sit under the apple tree with anyone but you. Meanwhile, we had the ocean, home ec, Spanish conjugations, and if the sky was falling, we scarcely noticed, wearing cherries in the snow and fire and ice from the drugstore lipstick counter, lunching under palmetto trees, watching the boys go by until the bell rang, jukebox memories of the old lamp lighter, slow dancing under the blue lights at Moore's, a baker's dozen of windows flung open to the perfume of the sea. And it was Christmas, surely.
And I would like to read you something here.
Ron, before you read that, I think we've got something,
my
special
goodness.
for Nola.
So, may I join the party?
Of course you
Absolutely.
may. By the way, this is Donna. Come a little closer. I want to see your pretty face.
Hello, everybody. I'm crashing this party for a very special reason.
She's allowed.
She's permitted, she's wanted,
Not
she's
only-
longed for.
Oh, Nola, not only do we love these two for obvious reasons, but it's a very special occasion, especially when the mayor has a proclamation for our poet laureate on Amelia Island, and that is Nola Perez. So we celebrate you, Nola. We celebrate the proclamation, all that you are, the beauty that you bring us, your beautiful poetry. And these flowers are from all of us at the crew
How
of Story and
beautiful.
Song and all of our customers.
And two purple ones for you, Ron.
Oh, perfect.
Lovely, thank you
Thank
so
you, my
much.
dear.
Thank you, just gorgeous. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That wasn't an interruption. That was an accent.
In my signature glass of poison.
To which she was referring that. I'm prosaic. I've got my cup
Oh,
of
how
fill
lovely,
to the brim.
how lovely, how lovely, how
One thing-
utterly beautiful.
That Nola oftentimes does is pick a quote from another poet or author and use it to kind of spin off a thought process. And what I love is oftentimes when somebody else's words or thoughts have inspired her, she includes them so that you have an idea of the path she's taking. Now, one of my all-time favorites is C.S. Lewis. And you all figured that out because I did on his poetry and little bits and pieces from many of his different books. And we're going to be doing some more about C.S. Lewis. But there is a quote from him which states, "Perhaps the bereaved ought to be isolated in special settlements, like lepers," says C.S. Lewis. And this poem is called The Bereaved. And it goes, "Fall, and the sycamores shed leaves that were light-filled and green in summer. Those branches I touched for healing as I passed beneath in search of childhood games. Fading calls imprisoned in their trunks like druids, becoming less audible each passing October. Softly from leprous limbs, the leaves drift down, yellowing the grass, crumpling on the cracked sidewalks. The streets of Red Rover, I spy, and may I, curling and wasting in ulnar drift, like the boy 3 houses down who went mano a mano with his motorcycle, and the motorcycle won. We are tribes of untouchables, whirling in a downward spiral of molecules, where there is no safe landing, no grassy meadow where we run, arms outstretched to catch each other. God takes a handful of earth in his hands, shakes it loose, and says to those we love, come now. And they obey. For us left behind, we wander caves where other casualties reach out their hands. Oh, they mean us no harm. They are the dynasty of the dying. I love that.
I'm glad you do.
Do you have another one to
I'm
read to
going to
us?
depart from the strict Fernandina
Okay.
because these are, radio days.
Oh, yes, that's good.
Tell me it's true. We're everything we remember. Tell me memories never fail us. Tell me we take them with us, and I'll take you with me, and you'll take me. Richard Blanco questioning my cousin Elena. Does anybody remember hand-spun Carlton or Moonglow with Martin besides me? HV Pioneer Radio newscaster. His distinctive brisk staccato first heard when my father pulled the Lincoln off the highway under sheltering trees. Rain pounding the roof of the car, a small child inside the Great War, oceans away, and a father listening to the reassuring Carlton-born voice when all was safe within a car in a rainstorm. Radio formed us. Dick Martin bringing WWL New Orleans to a high school beachside house party. His intimate modulations and midnight music, eons before the advent of the big tube. Does the power of the voice escape you? Think Hitler. And this is a short one. Bible study. There are only guys, to my surprise. I am the token woman up early a.m. in the company of men breakfasting in the fast track restaurant of choice. Me and 245 billion hamburgers served as of March 2010, or so it said. 2 men read scriptures in tandem, neither one the boss, occasionally marking a passage with a pen after a sip of coffee and a bit of sausage, hot pancakes, maybe. Wonder if they knew 320 calories on the menu, 300 on mine, coffee negligible. So am I eligible for extra blessing? The Java's good, and not to be rude, I memorized nothing but an egg McMuffin.
Now, not to be rude, but I have miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep, and I have promises to keep.
Thank you.
So, without any further ado, in case people tuned in, these were gifts to me from the crochet group who listens to me every Wednesday. And I love them. They're purple. The items, not the people. They're normal. This is purple. Now, I will look forward to seeing you again on Friday. Thank you, Nola, for coming.
Thank you, Ron, for being here and for reading my words so well. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks for coming, folks. See you on Friday.
I'll be in